Well, good morning, everyone. This is Mighty Stream. Today is August the 14th. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our Hood Recovery Services. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. I'm looking forward to doing your spiritual principle a day in a meditation for August the 14th. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right. What is it about? Surrendering shortcomings. In the seventh step, we take our surrender to a deeper level. What began in step one with an acknowledgement of our addiction now includes an acknowledgement of the shortcomings that go along with our addiction. In a step working guide, step 7, spiritual principles. The steps are in order for a reason. Each one prepares us for the next. We acknowledge that our way hasn't worked when we surrendered to step 1. Some members boil it down to a single acknowledgement. I need something different. These admissions opens the door for us to recognize our need for restoration in step 2 and to make a decision in step 3. With each of these first 3 steps, we surrender a little more. In exchange, we gain hope and enjoy glimpses of freedom. Surrender takes on new meaning when we get to the steps 6 and 7. Sure, we were sick of some shortcomings, but others were still useful. We were rather fond of one or two that we believed defined us. Still, other defects kept us safe. We may even credit some of them with our survival out there. To become entirely ready to release the whole list, we ask ourselves, are they still serving us in our new way of life? What would life be like without them? The answer is always a little freer. With humility, we surrender our shortcomings to a higher power and ask for them to be removed. More than one sponsor has pointed out that step 7 doesn't go on to say, and we lived happily ever after without them, does it? Instead, this step 7 surrender opens us to guidance and requires us to do some more work. Many of us find that we're more receptive to the suggestions of our sponsors, trusted friends, and our own insights. When we start to feel ourselves reach for a defective reaction, we make an effort to choose a principled response instead. We surrender again and again, deepening our commitment to living by spiritual principles and embodying them to counter our worst instincts. Each time one of my shortcomings seems appealing, that's when I can practice surrender. The gifts of surrender are available to me each day. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of Serenity Prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. What a wonderful meditation, surrendering shortcomings. I believe this is a fair meditation. What I mean by fair, I believe that it's true. It is very balanced. It analyzes our 7th step, right? It's talking about being able to surrender on a deeper level. It's talking about, you know, asking God, humbly asking God to remove our shortcomings. Right? And it initially talks about how do we get to that? We get to that by working the steps in order, 1, 2, 3, and go on. We make the inventory, we share it with someone, God and someone else. We are entirely ready to have these defects of characters removed from us, and then we humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. We get to that little by little. We don't get to it overnight. And there are many people that are in recovery and have been in recovery for a long time that would make you think that they never did this step because they're still practicing a lot of the same behaviors that they did before they got into the program. And they still see some of those behaviors as defining their personality. They make them more noticeable. It's just who they are. They've always been this way and they're never going to change. Some might say, well, it's a survival instinct and I'm going to keep it to the day I die because it saved my life when I was out there and it probably saved my life in the future. The question is that behavior benefiting your new life? And there's where the catch is. Let me see if I can highlight this. Here we go. To become entirely ready, I'm gonna highlight it in this, I don't know what they call this cornflower blue. To become entirely ready to release the whole list, we ask ourselves, are they still serving us in our new way of life? What would life be like without them? Here's the thing. This is the thing. And this is when you are dealing with an individual that will not let go of clear character defects that are causing them to fall short on a daily basis throughout their whole time that you've known them in recovery. They are still wrapped up in this mannerism. Okay. And they think somehow that it's the crown jewel. Right? They're the man, they're the woman, right? They think that this somehow defines who they are. If the things that I did out there when I was actively using are still defining me today, then that comes to question whether or not I have a new way of life. Anyone can put the drug down for a period of time. I do believe that. Anyone can get clean for a period of time. But the reason why people cannot stay stopped is because they keep going back and wanting to play in the mud. They keep wanting to go back to the old things that they used to do, or they never gave them up. And now they're causing confusion in their clean life. And when you are still paying the same high price for a low level of living, right? When you're paying that same high price that you were paying when you were actively using, you need to take a look at that. I will never say go back to using, right? That would never come out of my mouth. I'd rather you be clean and living dirty than decide that because you're clean and living dirty, you're just going to go ahead and pick up anyway and make it better, right? So that would never come out of my mouth. But let's talk about what changes have really come about as a result of you having a new way of living. Right. For men, it could be, they like to be ballers and have money and treat the ladies. And they know they got one lady that they got kids by, but they got all these other spiritual wives on the side in the program. And they wonder why the real wife, right, doesn't want to be bothered with them because you're still spread too thin. You have all these other chicks thinking that they can have a piece of you, and you're supposed to be my husband and their father, right? So for men, it could be different. Be a baller, but be a baller with what you said I do to, right? And for women, it could be, kind of similar. You could, be playing second fiddle to the wife because you feel like you're never going to get your own husband, or you're never going to be able to be that Madonna that you want to be. Right. So you'll just accept any piece of man that comes along, even if the piece of man that comes along is letting you know by his own behavior that you're not the only person I'm with. Right. This is not a monogamous relationship. Right. And you settle for that. And this is sort of similar to the behavior of settling for any John that would come by and throw you a few dollars. Right. And so we have to really take a look at that. Right. The first thing is, if you're not entirely ready to let go of those defects of characters, those shortcomings, right? If you're not entirely ready, why are you not? What purpose do they serve in your new life? Is it ego? Is it pride? This defines who you are in the rooms. It sets you apart from the rest of the men. It sets you apart from the rest of the girls, right? Women. Okay. So what purpose does it hold? And then there lies your issue. If you're not able to get to this point where you're entirely ready and you ask God to humbly remove these shortcomings from you, it could be because you have not really changed as much as you thought. And if you haven't changed, do you want to? Because again, Narcotics Anonymous is universal, right? It's worldwide. And there's tons of people that you will also be grouped in with that group of people that come, get clean, and that's enough. They don't do anything else, right? And nobody will notice, no one will even care probably because it's your life. But do you want to surrender your shortcomings? Yes or no? And if you're struggling with doing that, why are you struggling? What benefit have your shortcomings actually? Because the whole title of them, right? The way they're named, shortcomings, right? So there's tall comings too, right? There's things that you can do with your character that allows you to reach higher goals. But these aren't like that. These character defects are causing you to fall short or come up short is the best way to put it. They're causing you to come up short of where you're truly called or created to be. And if you're going to settle for that, that's one thing. But if you notice it and you see that you're struggling with giving up certain habits and mannerisms, then you need to dig a little bit deeper and figure out why holding on to these shortcomings is so important to you. You've defined yourself by being a tough guy, right? You've defined yourself by being the sexiest chick in the meeting, right? You've defined yourself as being the best cusser, cussing like a sailor because you can cuss somebody out at a drop of a hat. Figure out what that is and why you're holding on to it, and then be honest with yourself. You don't have to be honest with me. You have to be honest with yourself. What purpose does it serve? Right? And take a look at that. I was having a conversation, not really even a conversation. I was having like a text debate with someone. And I was letting them know that, the relationship really wasn't for me, right? The relationship we've developed really wasn't for me anymore because they were continually trying to drag me in as a third person into chaos. And I just don't live that life today, right? And I've told them repeatedly over the years that I'm going to reach a point where I'm actually going to be done dealing with you, right? And so I had gotten to that point, and I could not believe the venom that they began to text me with. I mean, I was everything but the child of God. And in that moment, you know what I realized? That after all these years of these chaotic situations that I was being dragged into, I was favoring this person because I'm close to them. I was giving them, I want to say, kind of like a false sense, I was giving them a false sense of security in their identity of being right to feel the way that they were. Because it dawned on me that every person that stands up to this person or puts their foot down or draws the line with this person, they all of a sudden become a victim to this person's other personality that spits venom and talks trash. And that is what I was witnessing, the blow up, right? And they were painting the picture all the time like they were the victim all the time. And I realized by the way that they were responding to me that this is the way they respond to everyone. and I was being dragged in on the backside of the situation. And of course, because I love them, I would give them my ear and they would tell the story. And I would, because I don't know the other people, believe them. We can co-sign other people's mess sometimes without even realizing that we're co-signing it. And so I thank God that our relationship went through that, because now I see that this is a strong personality defect with them, that this is something they will do even with people that have given everything to support them if they don't get their way, like a child throwing a tantrum, right? And so I said, oh, okay, I see. But the difference between those people and myself, right, is I have recovery in my life. I understand. Just because someone attacks doesn't mean that I need to attack back, right? But I can draw the line. I can draw a line and stand up for myself, right? And so I just want to say that sometimes it takes someone really close to you. Listen to me. I feel like this is going somewhere. It takes someone really, really close to you that has witnessed how you've responded over the years to be the person to tell you, you know what? Your ish stinks. Your ish stinks and you need to cut it out, because nobody should have to endure this or tolerate this or go through this. You need to cut it out and you need to stop it right now, because this no longer works for me dealing with you, and nobody else should have to put up with this. You need someone close enough to you that loves you enough to tell you your ish stinks. You've been thinking that this was the way to operate, but this is not the way to operate. And it goes no further. It goes no further with me, and you need to change it. And you need to change it right now, because nobody needs to put up with this, right? I'm asking you guys listening, do you have someone in your life like that? That if they tell you the truth about yourself, they can even endure your hatred for them, your anger at them, rather, in the moment, and still stand that ground. Do you have somebody like that? And if you don't have someone in your life like that, why don't you? Is it because you never present the truth? Like this person, I'm sure they have not presented the truth in those chaotic situations I found myself involved in. I'm sure that they were painting the story so it looked like they were victims, and I wanted to protect them. But are you not giving your authentic self, but you're expecting authentic responses from people? Then we're living a lie. We need to change how we live, and we need to recover even further. You need to surrender all of our shortcomings, because they don't serve us anymore, and they don't serve the people that we claim that we love. My name is Mighty Stream, and I have enjoyed your company this morning. I hope you enjoyed this meditation, the spiritual principle of complete surrender of our shortcomings. I will be talking to you tomorrow.